On today's question of faith, why are there so few masses this week in the Diocese of Cleveland? Hey everybody, this is Question of Faith. I am Mike Haze. I'm the Director of Young Adult Ministry here in the Diocese of Cleveland.
And I'm Fr Damian, the Vicar for Evangelization.
And I'm Fr Dan Schlegel, the Secretary and Vicar for Clergy and Religious for the Diocese.
Well, if anybody would know why there's so few masses in the Diocese of Cleveland, it would be Father Schlegel. By the way, I was just thinking about this. We've mentioned Father Schlegel's name a bunch of times in this podcast, and people were probably like, who the heck is this Father Schlegel? Most of the time, I hate to tell you, Father, it's about bad jokes. But
oh, good jokes. You got to keep people laughing.
This is true.
He's the king of puns.
Yes.
That's right. Joy is the infallible sign of the presence of God. Got to laugh.
Mm-hmm. Father Schlegel and I go way back, actually, when I was an intern during the 2000-2001 academic year, formation year. I was serving at St. Christopher's, and he was my supervisor there at St. Chris.
My parish also.
Oh, yeah, that's your parish now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was a hard grader for him, so it was easy to grade. Easy to grade.
Yeah.
So now, Father Schlegel, you are the Vicar for Clergy and Religious.
Correct.
And what is the other title you said?
And Secretary, so I keep all the records.
Oh, okay. Is that what Secretary means?
That is it.
Okay.
I keep all the records, all your files, so be
Okay.
careful what you say to me, because it could go in your file eventually.
All right. Well, who's going to record anything anyway?
That's right.
So our question...
Except us, of course.
Yeah, right. That was the pun. See, I tried to throw a pun in there.
There you go.
So what... why so few masses? It seems like some parishes aren't even having daily mass from Wednesday to Friday this week. What's going on?
So we've got a biannual convocation, and we unfortunately have not been able to have that for the last 4 years. So we are gathering together out at Sawmill Creek. There'll be 210 priests gathered there, so that's the majority of our active priests in the Diocese of Cleveland. Many of our retired priests will be there as well, and it's really an important time to gather together to celebrate our life together as priests, to hear from our bishop, to be inspired by good speakers, and challenged in our faith and in our growth, and also the growth of our parishes throughout the diocese. So despite the fact that Mass isn't being held at many places, I think it's really a benefit for the people in the parishes that their priests are away at this, and that they get inspired and they get reenacted to be able to go out and do great things in their parish communities.
And so what kind of things do you talk about? What are some of the topics that are on the docket this time?
Yeah, we've got two main speakers, Dan Cellucci from the Catholic Leadership Institute. He's going to take a look at many of the national trends as we have fewer and fewer priests, how our parishes being equipped throughout the country, whether it's one pastor for two places or groups of parishes. So he's going to kind of give us a feel of the opportunities that exist right now in the church throughout the country in this time of fewer vocations. So what are other options? What are other models? What are other structures? What are other opportunities that we have throughout our diocese? So it's an exciting time. Rather than looking at the negative, we're looking at the positive, at all that could be done. And then Kandra, who is a deacon from Brooklyn, New York.
And one of my best friends.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Greg is a great guy. And I've been stealing his homily stuff for years and years. He's really a good writer. He wrote for the CBS Evening News. He wrote for Katie Couric. And he really is able to bring the gospel to light. He's kind of like a Bishop Barron's sort of person, because he has, one finger on the vibe of the world and the news of the world going on, and then another on the gospel and how to proclaim it well in the midst of our world. He's really an evangelizer, and I'm looking really forward to him speaking. I've never heard him speak, but I certainly have stolen his stuff. I tell him all the time, I stole your homilies. I hope you didn't mind. I said I picked him up, but I said I changed it around a little bit. He goes, that's fine. So I try to copyright all my material, but him not so much,
Exactly.
So we priests are supposed to take at least 5-day canonical retreat every year, so that we can be refreshed in the Lord. And every 2 years, we do one of these convocations. So on the off year, it's a 1 day. On the on year, it's a 4-day, pretty much, right? Or 3.5 day. So what would you tell parishioners who may be wondering, like, well, okay, is this that important that these priests have to be away and we don't have Mass, we have the Liturgy of the Word or a communion service or whatever it is that is allowed? What would you say to to parishioners who are wondering, why is this so important for the priests?
So first of all, I think that if you were in the secular field, days of in-service would be required of any corporation or business. And I think in the priesthood, it's not a badge of honor when a guy says, oh, I was ordained and I never opened up a book again.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important for us to be together to support one another, especially as the numbers are getting fewer and fewer. It's important for us to be kept abreast of situations and opportunities to evangelize in the world. It's important for us to come together and to be inspired as a presbyterate, to support each other. And there are all kinds of other things going on during these 4 days. We have like a Jesuit Caritas table, so to interest guys in support group, prayer group opportunities. There are people coming who have opportunities to be chaplains at sea and on ships. So there's an opportunity for us to come together. Many different organizations will come together for these 4 days for our priests to help them know what are the resources out there to help them. How can we as a diocese help them? What does the bishop see as kind of our vision and our move forward? And it's just really a time to inspire the priests to be better priests and also to give them a little spark of energy and excitement about their priestly ministry. So really it benefits the parishes, all the parishes in the Diocese of Cleveland, for the guys to be away for these 4 days.
I know in the past we've brought in priests, because the Sawmill Creek is in the Diocese of Toledo. We brought in Toledo priests to hear confessions.
Correct.
And we have daily mass and prayer opportunities.
Anointing
we
of
put up
the
a chapel,
sick.
anointing of the sick mass.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those things are great. And I find, too, that apart from all the programming, just being together with the brothers and, having a drink or having a meal and talking, playing music, playing cards, that fraternity is really important for priests too, no?
Oh, I agree. And it's great because people sit at tables that they may not have sat with these guys before. They may not choose to go out and have a beer with them in the evening because they're just not perhaps thinking people. But they get together at this, and everybody sits together, the old, the young, the more right wing, left wing. They're all together in the same room. And I think that that's a real value because it really represents a microcosm of the church. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really good for us to gather together and to be challenged, in our thinking, and to be also inspired to go out and do great work for God in our parishes in the Diocese of Cleveland.
Yeah, those are the two things that I hear all the time. Is I hear it's great to be at this one, to be refreshed, to have my intellect stimulated in some way. But I think the thing I hear the most is, when I'm in the parish, I don't see the guys I was in seminary with all that much. Mm-hmm. I try to get together with them regularly, but busyness of life, busyness of parish life takes me away. So this is an opportunity for me to catch up to some guys. But it's also an opportunity to catch up with guys I never sit with, who I never talk to, who don't think the way I think, and hear from them. So I think it's great. Yeah, it's great. I'm looking forward to being out there. We're going to be doing some recording out there of for our Eucharistic revival to talk to the priest about, what does the Eucharist mean to you?
Mm-hmm. And we'll be taking new pictures. All the priests have been asked to bring a sport coat and a clerical shirt so that we can take new pictures and update our directory so we don't have our ordination pictures on there if we've been ordained for 19 years.
So if you've been looking to update your dartboards, this is the opportunity. We'll have new photographs for you.
Yeah.
We'll send those around. And today's the feast. Father Schlegel would be remiss of me if I didn't say today is the feast day of St. Francis that we're recording this on. Father Schlegel and I first met during the pandemic, and I had a mask on that was, of course, my dog.
Oh, Haze.
Yes, and so Father Schlegel...
he loves dogs, too.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, is that your dog on your mask? And I was like, I need one of those.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, no, I had a dog for 15 years. Her name was Halo, and she was a great companion to me, especially when I was at Holy Angels and on my own. So it was great coming home at the end of the day, and the dog was always happy to see you, and it was a companion for me during that time that I lived by myself out in the country, away from family and friends, and so I really loved having a dog for sure. Couldn't do it downtown right now, but, I could always dream. I do have a little stuffed dog on my bed, but,
I'll bring my dog once in a while.
There you go. Great.
Well, my dog is on his last legs, as I said before. He's going to be 17 years old in about a week. And so this will probably be his last blessing of the animals this week.
You said that last year, too, though.
I did, didn't I?
Yeah, and he's still going.
This dog has fooled me more than one time. I mean, he almost died when he was 8. He had to have major surgery, and My vet has a new boat now because of that, and he just they literally doubled his life with that surgery. Now, when you think about it, though, because now he's almost 17. So Haze, keep on trucking.
Yeah, my mom is 85. She's got 2 dogs, and I'll tell you, loves those dogs, and they love her. And I think it really extends her life in many ways because someone to care for after she raised 6 kids, and they're all out on their own. The dogs are there to be cared for, and they care for her as well.
Yeah. I wrote a paper when I was at the Ange on, is it possible to befriend artificial intelligence? And my answer was no, because the friendship would be artificial. It wouldn't be real. But you could have friendship with an animal or even a plant. And my argument was that because they're both alive. Yes. They're both living things, and there's some sort of reciprocity that takes place with living things that doesn't take place with artificial things.
A plant would be a stretch for me, but it just doesn't quite do the same.
But gardening and doing that, like people like gardening, and you talk to your plants, they grow more. I mean, that's a whole other show.
That's a whole other show.
I get all nerded out on things like this.
As long as we're talking about gardening, I live in a condo because I don't like gardening, right? And I can't fix anything is the other thing. So I live in a condo. That I will share this story this week. In my condo this month, in fact, they're doing renovations on our garage. I have a parking space in the garage, which is very convenient, but I have had to move out of it this week and go next door and put it in the outside lot in the building next door, which is a little inconvenient, but not the end of the world, right?
Little penance.
In the front of our place, though, they have I think it's maybe about 10 spaces, and it's first come, first serve. So if you get there in time, you can just park in front of the building. So the other day, I was exhausted. I came back from the seminary, I had a long night of class, and I was just done. And I remembered that one of my friends had said, if you pray to Mother Cabrini, she'll find you a parking space. And I said that the prayer was, Mother Cabrini, please find a space for my little machini, which is a good Dan Schlegel joke,
I like
right?
That.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, all right, I'm going to try this. And so I did it, and I recorded it and said, I'm going to see if this works. And so I turned the corner, and all of a sudden, now the other thing, I forgot a piece of the story, was I had gone to get our groceries after this long day, so that was why I was even more exhausted. And I came in and I dropped the groceries off with my wife, who came down, picked them up, and then I said, "There's no spaces in front of here. I'm gonna go over to those spaces." I said, "You know what? I'm gonna drive around the block and I'm gonna do this Mother Cabrini prayer." So I did, and I came around. Wouldn't you know, spot opened right up.
There you go.
Unbelievable. I'm a believer.
Intercession.
Right. I always thought it was St. Anthony for finding something, but Mother Cabrini.
Mother Cabrini, apparently. So I said,
right.
and it worked 2 days in a row. Third day, not so much. Yeah. So, you can't have them all.
2 out of 3 is not bad.
2 out of 3 is not bad.
Sounds like a Meatloaf song.
So priest convocation, you guys will be out there all week. I'll be out there, Thursday?
Thursday afternoon. Mm-hmm. Yep. And it ends Friday, I think, at lunchtime. So, pray for us, please, because it's an important time for the presbyterate. And hopefully all our priests get refreshed.
Yeah. What are you guys both looking forward to most?
The brotherhood.
Yeah.
I think I like being with the brother priests. I think it's good for the soul.
I also think the highlight of, so we've come out of COVID, and Bishop Malessa kind of came in the midst of COVID. So for him to have an opportunity to address the priests, and also usually there's questions and answers, and I think that's one of the most fruitful time, because things that are on guys' hearts and minds get to be vocalized to him. And I think it's a great opportunity for him to get to know the presbyterate better, and for they to get to know him better. So that's always something that's really helping to bond the relationship between the shepherd and his priests.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the places that we also bond with priests are in churches. And so, Father Schlegel, you have a church for us this week.
Sure, yeah. So I was pastor of Holy Angels Parish in Bainbridge Township for 15 years. I didn't even know where Bainbridge was prior to that, and it was a great experience for me. We had about 3,000 families, a great music ministry, had over 120 in the choir at the time, and so we had vibrant liturgies and just a really wonderful place. And that continues on with Father Max Cole as the pastor now, and just a wonderful place. It's set in the middle of the woods in 64 acres of land, and that's the unusual thing about it. You drive up to it, and you feel like you're leaving the world behind when you drive up into that wooded area. And then as you look out from the sanctuary, you just see nature all around you. So it's really a beautiful thing. I always loved that drive, except in wintertime when we were in the snow belt and it snowed. Then it was a little bit of a different story, but really a beautiful place, wonderful people, and a great experience of really experiencing church as an ability to let go of everything that burdens you. So to go to a place that really lifts you up, just it does that from a physical point of view, but from a spiritual point of view as well.
I can testify to the beauty of nature at that church, because the old churches in the city have stained glass windows, and part of it is to tell the story of the faith, and also so you don't have to look at all the other buildings in the city. But here, you're out in the middle of woods, so what you see are trees, and at this time of year, it's just gorgeous when all the trees are changing, and you get to see the seasons throughout. So for me, it was a different experience of being in a Catholic church, but a beautiful one nonetheless. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there too, and saying the same thing. I walked in, I was like, "Ooh, wow, this is a different experience."
A lot of natural light.
But a lot of natural light and beautiful surroundings. I know I went out toward the back of the parish one time with one of the ministers out there, and they we just kind of hung out. It was great. It was a good time. So that's Holy Angel, Bainbridge Township, where Father Schlegel
18205 Chillicothe Road.
Yeah, there you go.
306 is the
Route 306, yep.
306,
Yeah, and they do Theology on Tap out there on third Thursdays of every month, I believe.
Oh, really?
Well.
Okay.
Yeah,
good to know.
They've been doing it for a
And
long
is
time.
Alex Yates still out
Correct.
there?
Yes.
That's
He's
what
very
took
good
me
at
out
what he
there.
does.
Yes.
Former student of mine.
Yeah. So I got to speak out there one time, which was great. Nice ride too. It was a nice scenic ride, and through Chagrin Falls and the little township that's there, and everything
Right down the
else.
street
Great.
from Aurora Farm. So if you want to do your shopping at the same time, you're only a couple miles away from there.
It's great. Yeah. And so our gospel for this week's from the 17th chapter of Luke. As he was entering a village, 10 lepers met him. They stood at a distance from him and raised their voices, saying, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." And when he saw them, he said, "Go show yourselves to the priest." As they were going, they were cleansed. And one of them, realizing he had been healed, returned, glorifying God in a loud voice. We'll stop there. Leave you hanging. What happens next? So 10 were clean, and only one came back.
And the one who came back
Was a Samaritan.
in a loud voice.
And a loud voice. There's a lot there, right? Yeah. So we'll leave it there for you to pay attention to this week for our gospel. And Father Dan Schlegel, it's been great having you. So
Thanks, great being on.
enjoy the priest convocation, and we'll see you out there. I'll see you out there on Thursday. You guys will be together a little longer
See him
than that.
tonight at registration.
And,
Don't forget to pray for us this week.
yes, pray for our priests, and pray for the speakers and everybody else who will inspire them this week. And we'll be praying for you as well here on Question of Faith, and we'll have all of this and even more next time on Question of Faith.
Rock and roll.